için tekrardan çok teşekkür ediyoruz sunumu için. Şimdi programımıza Avrupa İmar ve Kalkınma Bankası'dan Londra'dan aramızda olan sürdürülebilir iş ve altyapı yöneticisi olarak görev yapan Emre Oğuzöncül'e bırakıyorum. Buyurun Emre Bey.
Hanım, teşekkürler. I'll continue in English. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here, and thanks again for inviting to speak this panel, and many thanks to Ulf for making my job easier, so I can speak only on finance and not really go into the details of climate or even transport. So let me, if you could bear with me for 1 second, I'll share my screen. Dila Hanım, can you confirm that?
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect. All right. So I'll speak about EBRD, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and I will also, I'll introduce a couple of programs or a couple of financing options that we have at EBRD. But it's also fair to say, perhaps, that EBRD is much like any other multilateral development bank, like the European Investment Bank, Asian Development Bank, vice versa. So our programs are designed, different programs obviously, but are designed in a similar fashion. These could be examples for other NDB's work as well. So EBRD, in short, it's a bank that was established in 1991. Even though it first started focusing on ex-Soviet countries, in time our country's operations have expanded. And at the moment we have 38 economies on the map, but also have recently expanded to sub-Saharan Africa. So apart from all these countries that you see on the map on the slides, we're now also working in Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, and Senegal. And also, this year we're expanding to Iraq as well. In Turkey and Greece, we have been working for more than a decade, approximately a decade, 10 years in Greece and 16 years in Turkey. Even though we are kind of finalizing our operations in Greece. So from next year and on, we will be focusing only on portfolio projects, so the projects that we have financed to date. But in Turkey, we are still financing a number of projects in the country. And in Turkey, we are also the largest MDB by volume of business. EBRD is owned by 79 countries, as well as the European Union and EIB. All the countries that are our countries of operations, so all the countries that you see on the map are also our own shareholders, but so is United States or the EU member states or countries like Japan, Australia, and China and India as well. And how does EBRD work? So we can, our mandate is very clear. The mandate is to focus primarily on private sector projects, but we can definitely work with central governments, local governments, so municipalities, municipal companies, utilities, as well as financial institutions, so local banks, commercial banks, and of course, private sector companies. We offer plain vanilla loans as much as any other, let's say, commercial bank offers, but also can structure different products. We're very much interested lately, as you can imagine, on green loans, sustainability-linked loans, and also participating in bond issuances like green bonds, sustainability-linked bonds. We do not really have a sectoral preference, but rather we can, transport is one of the sectors we're very, very active in, but any municipal sector or any industrial sector, almost any, there are certain sectors that we cannot work in, such as, the defense sector and so on, but we can work with pretty much most of the real sectors. We can also participate in equity as well. So this is the previous slide talked about mostly about the EBRD finance, what it is that EBRD by itself does. Apart from it, we also work with climate donors, we work with bilaterals, so countries, to bring in also concessional finance. What is concessional finance? Basically cheaper finance than EBRD can offer. But then this usually comes with a specific theme or technology. We have different programs, and in these programs, I'll get to that in a moment, we offer these concessional finance opportunities, again, which covers cheap financing, free financing, so grants as well, but also first loss covers or guarantees. We also support the projects with technical consultancy, technical assignment support. So it's not just the project that we finance, but we also take care of the the feasibilities, the DDs, depending on the project. Apart from these green investments, we also work with our clients on policy dialogue. We work with the governments, national governments, but also with the local governments, so municipalities, to help their strategic planning, to help with regulatory support, and so on. I'll give some examples in the next slide. So I'll mention two flagship projects of the bank. One of them is EBRD Green Cities. This is actually the project that I have been working on in the last 5 years or so and managing. So EBRD Green Cities is a 7 billion euro framework, primarily targeting municipalities, municipal companies, and other urban infrastructure investments, private or public sector. At the core of the program, apart from financing the infrastructure investments in sectors such as urban transport, but also solid waste management, water supply or wastewater, district heating, buildings energy efficiency, anything you can think of, and that could be under municipal infrastructure investments. We also support municipalities to develop what we call green city action plans. These are usually short to medium term, so 5 to 10 year timeline action plans that help the cities prioritize their green actions, whether they're climate change mitigation or climate change adaptation or other environmental or nature-based investments or solutions. We do have eligibility criteria, so any city for any city to join EBRD Green Cities program, at first there needs to be a trigger investment between EBRD and that relevant city. So there needs to be a financing made by EBRD to the city. Only then, only after that, the city can actually join EBRD Green Cities. And there is a population limit, 50,000 for any city. And of course, these cities need to be in EBRD countries of operations. This is currently the map of our EBRD Green Cities. In Turkey, we have 5 cities today: Istanbul, Bursa, Ankara, Izmir, and Gaziantep. In Greece, we have not had any green cities to date, and it's very unlikely given that we will be focusing mostly on portfolio projects going forward. But we are also trying to expand our green cities network in the countries of operations, and this will also include this expansion in the next few years, will also include sub-Saharan African countries as well as Iraq. This map shows in navy blue the cities that have completed their green city action plans. Just to give you an example, and I actually have a slide on this one later on, Istanbul has completed their green city action plan recently this year and has only uploaded their the action plan to their website and also the EBRD Green Cities website yesterday. So that's quite fresh out of the oven, let's say. So what do we do on the green cities? This is just one example from Vilnius, from Lithuania. Earlier this year in January, we supported the city's investment for a fleet renewal. The city invested in 73 new e-trolley buses and also 85 battery e-buses with the goal of reaching zero tailpipe emissions. We worked with, the project was co-financed by the Nordic Investment Bank, so it was a 50-50, 40 million from EBRD and 40 million from Nordic Investment Bank. And the idea was also to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and also lower noise levels. This is just an example of a project. We have different projects in pretty much all areas that Ulf mentioned in his slides, from even, let's say, aviation sector, even though it's not really cities in our eyes, it's more like a national transport infrastructure project. But we also support rail infrastructure. We support maritime transport as well. So again, anything that you could consider under the transport sector. And then, as I mentioned, we support the cities with developing their Green City Action Plans. This is just a couple of snapshots from the Green City Action Plan that you can find online. Istanbul has a number of actions and measures already identified, some of them actually predating the Green City Action Plan itself. But what the Green City Action Plan does is it brings together all the relevant investments, and the idea is that the Green City Action Plan prioritizes the city's investments in the next 5 years. That's at least the case for Istanbul. I remember again from Ulf's slides, and thanks again, Ulf, the Hızray project, which is like the Elizabeth line of Istanbul, if you could compare that to that of London. The Crossrail project across Istanbul is again one of the, and actually the largest project in the city's action plan. On the right-hand side of the slide, you can also see the another action that's looking at the decarbonization of the maritime fleet. You could definitely find the action plan by just Googling. I'll touch upon another flagship project of EBRD that has been there for some time now, for about 15 years, actually more than that. The Green Economy Financing Facility. So I mentioned earlier that we do not only work with the private sector or the municipalities, governments, but also with the financial sector. So what EBRD does under the Green Economy Financing Facility is we lend to local banks, commercial banks in our country's operations, and these banks then on lend to their own clients. This is mainly done to support smaller in size projects, because EBRD, after all, is a bank of 2,000 and 3,000 people. There's only so much that the bank can do directly, but then we rely on our partner banks, commercial banks, who can help us reach to more projects with, again, concessional loan options and sometimes even grants. Within this green within the Green Economy Financing Facilities world, we also have a quick, let's say, a white list of products and also and vendors, which could be just getting a kind of a quick check, a quick tick from our consultants. You could already access it by just going to the Green Technology Selector on ebrdgef.com. There we're listing from electric buses to forklifts, from harvesters to mopeds and motorcycles, anything that our local banks can finance basically right away. If there is a product that's not listed on the whitelist, that's not really a big concern, because we can always, our consultants can always add new products to these lists. And if there is any, let's say, it's sector that's not covered by this list, then we can always ask our consultants to assess those projects individually as well. Just to give one other example from Slovak Republic, our partner bank in the country helped us renew the fleet, the municipal transport fleet of Žilina city. And pretty much the same, let's say, project as the one that I shared in EBRD Green Cities. And the investment size was much smaller, of course, only 2 million. This is the end of my presentation. Happy to take on questions. Thank you once again, and back to Dila. Thank you.
Teşekkür ederiz Emre Bey. Özellikle bu finansman modellerinde bizler de Marmara Belediyeler Birliği olarak yerel yönetimlerden böyle sıkça sorular alıyoruz. Özellikle son kısımdaki ekipman kısmında da.